It's mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground, I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around, who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for
Good
the
show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should
Players. Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Wednesday, May 15th. We got a big show for you today. A lot of LSU baseball conversation.
What we cooking today?
What are we cooking today, Lloyd? Listen, we got the whole squad, not all in studio. Me and Lloyd obviously in studio holding it down. Mitch out there in Charlotte doing his thing with the SEC Network, but he is thankful. We are thankful for the technology and the ability for him to Zoom on in to
I guess we're just doing it from everywhere, maybe worldwide. Let's go.
Let's go worldwide, Mr. Worldwide.
Worldwide.
We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, LSU baseball is in kind of a do or die situation this weekend.
Kind of.
Kind of is a nice way to put it.
Now you need to do, or you basically did.
yeah, no doubt. There's do or you're dead.
Yeah.
Out of lives.
Not out of lives. Yep, you are Super Mario, Nintendo. Can't steal lives from Luigi anymore. It's the last one. It's the last one, dude.
Toad ain't showing up.
You're good. No going to the bonus thing and getting extra free lives. That's it. It's all you got. Obviously, a sweep this weekend would be amazing. Would be glorious. Would be something that would put them in a really comfortable position moving into the SEC tournament. If you win 2 out of 3, you are not dead. Right? That's the most important part, is to win the series. You got to win the first game in order to get to the next game, We're going to preview the weekend. They've come out with the rotations. They've come out with those schedules. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, just like it is around the entire country, around the SEC, because of the SEC tournament starting next Tuesday. LSU will then play next Tuesday which we'll talk about what we think the rotation will be going into next week, because we had talked about potentially Gage Jump getting that first start. That is not going to happen because he's throwing Thursday. He's not going to pitch him on Tuesday. If it was Wednesday, that'd be another question. We'll talk about possibilities there. First things first, though, they have to get through this series. Their opponent this weekend is the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss is not a great baseball team. I'm just going to go out and say it. Capable of beating people, no doubt. You look at their staff, you look at their lineup, you look at what they've done through the course of the year. Nothing crazy. They are 2 games over 500. They lost last night to Southern Miss, who's ranked in the top 25. They had a 4-0 lead, blew that lead, and ended up losing the game 7-4. They come to LSU to try. They're also fighting for seeding purposes. They are a spot ahead of LSU in the standings. I think they have 11 SEC wins, and so it's going to be, look, just because we don't think they're a great baseball team doesn't mean that they cannot beat LSU. Obviously, LSU has proven that any team can beat any team at any given weekend this year. Now, with that said, I am very confident of LSU going into this weekend. I think the way they played last weekend, I know they didn't win the series, but it wasn't a bad series. They didn't play terrible. It was a pretty good sign that they're continuing to play good baseball. Emotionally, how are they going to respond? That was a big weekend. Took a lot out of them. They put a lot of emotion on the field, a lot of energy on the field, and it came up a little short. Are they going to be able to rebound this weekend? We're going to talk about all of that. There's some little football news in the wire right now. Lloyd had brought it up. They have a defensive tackle, which we have swung and missed on a few of them in this the second wave of this transfer portal. We have a guy who
they don't want to be here. I don't want them.
Hey, you're not going to buy players.
You don't want to wear that purple and gold. You can get.
That's it. That's what Brian Kelly says.
Get on.
Who is the man?
They want to wear green, baby.
Green, baby. They want green. Who's the young man, Lloyd, that is making his decision today? And what are LSU's chances of getting him?
JVR Suggs
There we go.
is the defensive tackle out of the portal from a little place called Grand Valley State that Coach Brian Kelly knows very well. Got his start there. His son plays there. And so he went to the depths of his connections to find another defensive tackle because, as we all know, they swung and missed at the first 0-2 in the portal in the first go-around. So back up to bat again.
Salvage.
Maybe
Salvage
get an infield hit, little tweener.
Salvage a
See
bat.
if you can find one because I believe he came in on Sunday. The visit ended on Tuesday. He flew back to Michigan, which is where it gets interesting because on his list is Wisconsin, Michigan, LSU. LSU was late to the party because, as I said, 0-2 on their portal with
the other guys.
Yeah, the other guys. And so it was D. Williams from TCU goes to Ohio State, goes to Oklahoma, excuse me.
Wow.
And then as it continues, LSU reaches out to Suggs, who had not LSU in his top 5. Then they get the visit. Now it's in the top 5, but this is his first time to go on campus, see anybody from LSU. And after his interview, he said, loved the visit. Shout out to all the coaches. Still not committed. And further along in the article as it goes, said it's very important that I play close to home, which is you insert Michigan. He's from Flint,
Doesn't
Michigan.
feel like LSU's close to home there.
No, it doesn't. So LSU was fighting against,
Uphill battle.
right. And they said that the biggest offer from NIL was from LSU, so that will, that won't be the issue.
What is his timetable? He's making a decision today, right?
Today,
At what
around
time?
this time.
Okay.
Said lunchtime.
So maybe we can we'll drop some news on the show.
Hopefully.
Maybe so.
We'll see.
Maybe so. We'll see. Going to be interesting day. Obviously, LSU softball. They are hosting postseason baseball. Our softball is being held in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Ole Miss, not Ole Miss. LSU
Later.
is hosting the regionals here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So go out and support those girls. They're doing a really good job. They put themselves in a position to make a run. I think they're the 9th overall seed. So you will have some sort of softball/baseball postseason play here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But let's get into this baseball conversation. Last night, Ole Miss had a opportunity to strengthen their resume with a midweek game against Southern Miss. They did the opposite. They lost to Southern Miss. Jared has been doing a research. Jared's very organized. He's got his papers and his books and his tabs and everything that he's been doing. learning a lot over there in Charlotte at the worldwide leader in sports, Mr. Worldwide. We had a conversation off here about Ole Miss. What's your feeling about them as a team?
I was getting his notes ready.
Look at that.
Prompter.
Professional.
I mean, yeah, dude. They're just a team, you know. Like, if I'm being completely honest about it, there's nothing about you that scares them. There's a couple guys in the lineup. I think Leger, Ross, and Fisher, who have kind of been their mainstays in the middle of that lineup all year. But, you know, like I said, I won't say they're just guys. Like, Fisher's probably the scariest when he's hitting 302. I think he went into last night hitting like 302 with like 19 and like 53 RBIs. Not bad. Obviously, it's pretty good, but there's three guys. There isn't an arm on the mound that scares you pretty much at all. There's a couple guys that are decent out the bullpen, but you got to get to them. So there lies that problem. They don't scare me at all. They're the only thing that, if there's anything that's scary, is you go and lose to a rival in Southern Miss the night before you're supposed to travel to Baton Rouge to go and play in a pretty big series that's going to kind of determine where you are and what kind of opportunity you have in a postseason. I think that right there may be their rallying cry. That right there may be their opportunity. But when we look at them on paper, we look at the team that they are, you have a huge opportunity in front of you to get the wins that you need, improve your RPI, go into the tournament where you the best you could be in this situation, because what we saw is two different ball clubs, if you ask me. Like, even last weekend, you lose on the last play of the game. You win a game that we haven't seen them win those type of games on Saturday pretty much all year, where you were down and you found a way to come back, stretch the lead, you win the ball game. And then on Sunday, you lose a game by one with runners on base in the game. So they still played good baseball this past weekend. And the team we saw the first 5 series of conference play is not the same team that we've seen the last 4 series of conference play. If you can continue what you've done over the last 4 series into this 5th, which means the back half of conference play, then you're putting yourself in a good spot. So I think that LSU should feel good about themselves and where they are and how they're playing and what they're doing. But you got a golden opportunity in front of you, and you should go and do what you need to do and push yourself forward and continue going.
Ole Miss and LSU have released their the rotations for the weekend. You know, LSU staying on par with what they've done over the last month or so. Gage Jump's going to throw the first game. Luke Holman's going to throw the second game. The pitcher named TBA is going to throw the third game.
Hell of a lot of starts.
Teams?
Yeah, Teebs
Teams
is going to throw the third game. We'll see what happens. See what he's got. See if he's going to throw righty lefty that day. I don't know what's going to happen. How many innings is he going to go? Who knows? But Ole Miss is.
Will Jay finally make us right on Saturday?
No, let me tell you why. Because
I know what you're thinking, because it's Tuesday for the next for the tournament.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think, and that's another conversation that we're going to have. Because, boy, you don't want to start him on Sundays in the SEC, right? You just haven't had the opportunity to start him on Sundays in the SEC. You get into the SEC tournament where if you lose, you're out that first round. If you win, you get to double elimination. Are you going to rely on him as that Tuesday starter? Like, think about it. We talked about you're going to need starters to go and make the run. This guy hasn't had a lot of opportunity to start on Sundays. And we're talking about Cade Anderson.
I was about to say this guy being Cade Anderson for those new to the program.
Yeah, we're talking about Cade Anderson. He hasn't had the opportunity to start a lot on Sunday. He's been the midweek Tuesday starter all year, not going a ton, like throwing a ton of pitches. I think he threw 65 in his last Tuesday outing, which is almost 10 days ago. Or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. And so now, regardless of what happens this weekend, you are going to be playing on Tuesday, right, of next week. Like, that's just – you're not going to be higher than a 10 seed.
Well, the stipulations are you need to win one game against Ole Miss, or Missouri needs to lose one this weekend.
Well, okay. Just barring that you
shit the bed.
You know what I mean? Like,
barring that you don't get swept and they don't sweep,
Right. Like, I'm not assuming that's going to happen. So
they meaning Missouri,
Right. So if LSU just wins a game, you know, if they do what we expect them to do, they are going to be in the SEC tournament. Even if they sweep, they're going to have to play on Tuesday. Which opens the door for, hey, who's going to start on Tuesday? Because Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the weekend series. You'd imagine they're going to exhaust all of their top guys this weekend to get as many wins as they can, which makes me feel like Cade Anderson is going to get that Tuesday start. We're going to get more into that, right? That's because that's an interesting point that I really want to, go in depth about. But Ole Miss is going to counter LSU's rotation with junior Riley Maddox, who's going to throw on Thursday, and follow that up with Liam Doyle, follow that up with Mason Nichols, right? Out of all three of those guys, Mason Nichols has the best numbers as far as ERA and that kind of stuff. If you look at what Riley Maddox is doing, he feels like he is a similar – he pitches to contact, doesn't have a ton of strikeouts. His ERA is in the mid-fives. Nothing super overpowering, just kind of going to get through the game. And then if you go down to Liam Doyle, who's a sophomore left-hander, seems like he's got the most explosive stuff, right? 77 strikeouts in 49 innings. So, you have a matchup with pitchers, and like we had talked about, they don't feel like Ole Miss. I mean, doesn't feel like they're a team that has a bunch of dominant guys on the bump that you feel like you are intimidated by. And we've talked about this on Monday. I think, to me, the key is LSU's offense getting out there and making a statement early on. At least that's what I think. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, their offense would be great, but I think the pitching's got to come in this one too. For whatever reason in this series, it feels like, hey, don't let them play with a little bit of confidence. And I think you kind of kill that confidence by getting off the field, by playing really good defense and by pitching it really well, especially early on, to kind of neutralize that thought. And then I think you just piece it together on offense this series. It's, like I said, I think this is kind of one of those what do you have in the tank? What kind of heart do you have in that series? And if you got it, well, you're going to have to start the game on the mound, so you might as well just go shut them down and get back in the dugout in like 11, 12 pitches or less, something like that. And then you continue to do that thing where you kind of shut down any feeling of anything that could possibly be good for them. And then you continue to do that and just start scratching away and putting runs on the board here and there. And I think that's something that'll kind of grow into an offensive outburst. But I think if you can get what you've gotten for the most part out of Gage Jump and Luke Holman, especially the second half of the SEC schedule, then you really got something cooking. Because, like I said, they're not great offensively. They're not great on the other side of it either. So it's sooner or later you're going to get those mistakes on offense. Sooner or later you're going to get those mistakes with pitches over the plate. What are you going to do with them? And I think that's how you kind of beat this club, by you continue to push away any bit of confidence that they may have on anything that they do.
Yeah, I think that it's, to your point, I think that this weekend, like the pitching, obviously, no doubt, right? Like, and they've thrown well over the last month. Offensively, they've done enough to score some runs, but I think doing enough is not going to be enough, right? You don't want to fall in a situation like you fell in last weekend. It's your last weekend of the series. You're at home. It's going to be senior weekend. You're not in school anymore. Let's not just overlook that. Like, that's a big thing. You're not in school anymore. There's a lot of opportunity for you to say, hey, this is what we got to do. Let's put all of our focus into winning these 3 games. Look, the pitching staff is extremely important. Pitching and defense is the main thing to baseball. They got to throw the ball. They got to defend it. They got to catch the ball. They got to make outs. No doubt. To me, though, on top of that, if you have an offense that comes out early and scores some runs and puts pressure on the other team, gets a couple big hits, that increases the energy around the stadium, that increases a lot of the confidence in the dugout. And it's one of those things where it's like, all right, we are going to create this energy. The pitching staff's going to sustain the energy throughout the game, and we're just going to continue – start off early and then continue to add on. LSU can't leave anything up to chance like they did last weekend.
In my mind, when I see this series, especially knowing like the LSU fan base, as long as you're in the game, they'll stay in the game, right? And so that means by being in the game, that means you have to pitch and play defense well. And I also think on the other side of it, you think about A&M, you think about that Alabama offense, like those two teams swing it really well, kind of up and down the lineup. And hey, if you let them stick around and you stay in this game and it's a 2-run game, they might put up a 5-run inning on you and have you down by 4, right? Have you down by 3, have you down when you thought you were in it. So those are the teams to me that you gotta jump out ahead of those clubs. This team, I don't feel that way about. They're not gonna just go out there and put up crooked numbers. So as long as you can keep them neutralized a little bit and do what you need to do there, you can start finding ways to scratch runs across. And I think this is a team that you won't really see put up any 5-run, 4-run innings or back-to-back 3-run innings and kind of hurt you like that. So I think like I said, as long as you can pitch it and keep them there, I think that crowd at LSU will stay in the game as long as you're in the game, right? And then find a way to push runs across, and I think that momentum will build into you having an offensive explosion. But I just don't think I don't think you need that from the start. Now, would it be great? Yeah, of course. But I don't think you need that from the start. I think you need to show dominance on the other side first to say, hey, you're in for a long weekend because you ain't getting nothing to hit, and it ain't going to be good for you.
Yeah, Lloyd, what you think?
I'm starting to wonder how porous apparently Ole Miss is, how they were managed to take 2 or 3 from Texas A&M. Is it A&M kind of in scramble mode at this, being ranked number 1? They lose, I guess, 4 of 6 to LSU and Ole Miss, 2 teams fighting for their postseason lives. I didn't see any of the LSU. Yeah. Is that it? It's just more of we're kind of in the tournament. We're ranked number 1 in the country.
Think so. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We kept talking about it for a while before LSU played them, but I'm like, they are scoring runs at an absolutely alarming rate.
Right.
A&M. So it's like, how long is that going to keep going? And then you finally got to the buzzsaws, if you want to call it that, of I got to go to a desperate LSU. I got to go to a desperate Ole Miss. That is all of that combined to me is like the recipe for a couple letdown weekends. So I think that's kind of what A&M kind of ran into in that situation. I think they'll be a little bit re-energized this weekend when they play at home against Arkansas, who's trying to win the West. And I think this actually might be for the West. I think it'll be a little more energized and they'll be kind of into it. But I think they just ran into the wrong buzzsaws at the wrong time and kind of overlooked it looking ahead because of what they had done already.
Yeah, I just want to look at the numbers that they put up. So 4-3 win on Friday, 10-2 over A&M on Saturday, and then got blanked 6-0 in their only loss. So I guess the runs aren't really there. Like y'all are saying, like the offense isn't as potent as what you faced in the past. And I think that from an LSU standpoint, from what Ole Miss had to do yesterday, they threw their de facto, I think, Sunday guy almost 60 pitches yesterday against Southern Miss because they were in the fight. And they were like, well, we might as well win. So the guy that usually goes on Sunday threw upwards of 50 pitches. So maybe you get a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reprieve. I know the guy that y'all mentioned has good numbers, but he hasn't really pitched all that often. I think the longest he's gone in a game is 6 innings. So if it's not Saturday or if you're going for the sweep, you can finally look up on a Sunday and be like, all right, we actually have a legitimate chance as to who we're facing. It's not a Jack Caglione or Hess from last week where you're like, oh, this is their best pitcher that they have.
All right, so here's the deal, right? LSU is coming off a series win against A&M, coming off a series win against Alabama. I mean, not a series loss against Alabama, but a good series. They played well. Pitching-wise, they threw as good as they're going to be able to throw in those 2 series, right? They pitched really well. They're sharp. You had your top 2 guys throw extremely well. The bullpen had some really good moments coming out of the bullpen. Those are 2 of the scarier offenses in the SEC. I'm not saying Alabama's at the top of the SEC, but they're not. They're pretty good, right? Like, they're a scary offense. They have a lot of guys in their lineup that can beat you. A&M obviously is what they are, right? They score a ton of runs. They are very, very scary offense. And LSU's pitching staff was able to hold both of those teams kind of at bay, right? A&M, obviously, the Sunday game, they did what they needed to do, but that was kind of a fluky thing. The first 2 games, they held them to, I think, 4 or 5 runs. I don't know exactly how many runs it was. And then against Alabama, similar stuff, right? They weren't scoring runs all over the place. So now you face Ole Miss. I think if the pitching staff continues to do what they've been doing the last couple weekends, you're going to keep them at bay. They're not going to score a whole bunch of runs, and that goes into, hey, let's throw strikes, get ahead of guys, and let's use our stuff. LSU is talented enough to be able to do that. Now, with that said, offensively, they're going to have to be able to score some runs. Ole Miss held A&M down a little bit as far as offensive numbers go. Now, A&M is kind of in a spot where, like you said, they're in the tournament, they're host seed, kind of going through a little bit of the lull that LSU went through last year in those 2 series that LSU had before the SEC tournament. I wouldn't be super concerned about A&M, but that's just kind of where Ole Miss caught them at the time. Same with LSU. And so I think if the pitching staff continues just to do what they did, don't do anything different, don't try to do anything more, just do what you've done the last couple weekends, they're going to put themselves in a really good spot to be able to increase runs and score runs and do the things they need to do to win games at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I also too I want to see. Like I said, I don't know exactly how much you need to put up offensively to start, but what I do need to see is like some energy, energy on defense. Somebody that's going to get on the mound, take the ball, throw the pitches, get back on the mound, do it again. Guys playing with some energy. I think that's going to really kind of push them into where they need to be and the kind of tempo and the kind of pace and the kind of intent that they need to play with on the weekend. I think if they're able to do that, that'll be good signs for them at the end of the week.
Agreed completely. And go ahead.
I was going to say, Jay got kind of some questions about that because he was at the podium today, and some of the quotes were – because I think I don't know how this happened, but a lot of the narrative around the LSU baseball team is I guess they're trying to read body language, like they being like fans and watching through the TV, where it's like, I don't think this team gives a shit because you don't see very much 2 up, 2 down. It's very a professional approach, it seems like. But this is his quote from today. It's like, there's a lot at stake. Playing important baseball the last week of the season is a good thing. In spite of the difficulty of the season, these games matter. We're looking forward to giving our best ever at home against a team in a very similar situation. But I can validate that this is really important to our players, and I think the effort that they've given has reflected that. And I think that goes back to Saturday, what you saw against Alabama, when it could have been, all right, pack it up, let's go home. The same thing that's bitten us in the ass all year happened again, and it was almost deja vu from the Florida game, where it was what can go wrong has gone wrong. And LSU has gotten away from that a little bit, where it seems like, okay, you've righted the ship, it's steadied. Those kind of errors that have happened in the past are in the past. But for that to come up and bite you on a series that you feel like you had to win 2 of 3, and you had more, you had a 4-run lead with 6 outs to go, then you had nobody on, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and you lose. And so for you to kind of put all of that, flush it, and be able to get back off the mat, I think that says more about the team than people are giving it credit for.
No, 100%.
Right? I'm right there with you, Lloyd. I think I don't think this is a team that doesn't care. No, let's be honest. Like, you had a young team, and you brought in a Florida team at the time who was still highly regarded, I guess, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And in that group, in that weekend, I want that Friday night game. That really hurt him. Like that started a nosedive for him, and it took him a while for him to be able to come back from that. So to have that happen again at such an important time in the game, in the season for him, which was last week on that Friday night, in a game, like you said, 6 outs to go, you got a 4-run lead. Like, that's hard to give those away, and you did. To come back and bounce back and start the game out where they were down runs, where it could have easily said, let's fold the tent, let's go ahead and pack it up, let's get out of here. They came back and found a way to win that game. I don't see a team that doesn't want to be there or doesn't want to play. Now it's, hey, let's keep going.
No doubt.
Everything's not going to be perfect, but let's keep going.
And to stay on that point, on Sunday they did the same thing. Sunday they were on the position. We put in the group text, like I put in the group text, when they were down 4-0 and they're hitting lineouts and they weren't doing those things where, like, not because they were playing bad, just the breaks weren't going their way. It felt like it had felt earlier in the season on Sundays where, okay, this game feels like it's going to get – Go ahead.
I'm about to say, sidebar, you're also forgetting, not we are forgetting, but you're forgetting what they did last Tuesday. They were losing to Northwestern State.
Right.
And they were hitting balls hard, getting caught, and things are happening. They could have easily folded the 10.
Right.
No, they said, let's just go ahead and hit this 2-run homer in the 8th and let's get out of here.
Yep. And then Friday that happens. Saturday they come back and win. Sunday they have a chance for them to let it go and say, fuck it, we just lost. We're going to let it go. Instead, they battle all the way back and had a chance to tie the game in the top. They probably should have tied the game in the top of the 8th inning. So to your point, the fight is there, right? And they're put themselves in a position still to compete for the postseason. Is this where they want to be? Absolutely not. Is this where everybody expects them to be? Absolutely not. But it's the reality of the situation, and they have the ability to make a pretty cool story. Make it a cool story. Make the season end the way that they want it to end, right? Now, with that being said, let's talk about that part of their season, the postseason. Sweeping this weekend would obviously put them in a really good spot.
God, it would make things so much
right?
easier.
That would make things a lot easier. That would be the easiest thing to do. Hey, let's sweep this weekend. Let's put a good performance on Tuesday. Let's maybe win 2 games, maybe in the SC tournament, and
drop your dick on the table.
We're done. We're in. Ideal situation. If they don't win this, if they don't sweep and they go 2 out of 3, right? They put themselves in a spot where, okay, they got to make a little bit of a good showing in the SEC tournament. At that point, they are competing, in my mind, with Florida, right, for the postseason. Because that'll be the 10, 11 seeds in the SEC. Last year, SEC got 10 bids into the postseason. Florida is going to be in a precarious situation You like that? Precarious? Look?
Precarious, it is. And it's the correct usage.
It is the correct usage. They are in a precarious situation because they have, depending on what happens this weekend and the SEC tournament, they may not have an over 500 record. Their record may be at 500 or below 500, which I don't think that you can allow somebody, unless they win the conference tournament, into the postseason with a record like that. So, as much as LSU needs to just focus on what they're doing, the fans and us can scoreboard watch and see what happens in that Florida-Georgia series. Florida is at Georgia. Georgia is the hottest team in the SEC, one of the best offenses in the SEC. Florida's been super, inconsistent all year. Super talented, but super inconsistent. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But at the end of the day, I think if LSU sweeps Ole Miss, they're in, no doubt. I think if LSU wins the series, need a little help in the SEC tournament. But I still think there's a chance. I think that they will get in if they have a good showing in the tournament. You feel the same way, Jay?
Yeah, I think Florida's one of those teams where it's, like you said, they get swept this weekend. They would go into the conference tournament with a losing record. That's not where you want to be. They would probably have to do some damage in the tournament to have real consideration. But Florida has been one of those teams all year where you just really don't know what you're going to get. And when you look at their resume, especially the back end of their resume, just last weekend, they lost 2 10-inning games to Kentucky, which is a top 3 team. They beat them once, and I think it was 10-1 in the game that they beat them on Saturday, I believe. So you really don't know what you're going to get. And if they can't stack some wins together at the back end of this thing, and, obviously maybe win 2 games in this series, go into the tournament, maybe win a game or 2. If they can't do that, that's hard to put that team in the tournament over, honestly, anybody. It doesn't really matter, especially over a team that has on the season, a much better win-loss record than you do. So I think LSU's route is like, hey, you go play good ball this weekend. You go get a series win this weekend. You may even find a way to sweep this weekend. If you can do that, you win a game or 2. I think they should be in pretty good spot. And then when it comes to the postseason, I think they're going to be in one of those spots that's weird. Like, at the end of the day, I really don't think it matters much if you're the 2 or the 3 seed because you're going to be playing one of those teams anyway, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. But what's going to be funny is I just got a feeling that if they're a 2, there's a good chance they may be paired in another SEC's regional. If they're 3, they're probably going to have to travel pretty far. That would be my guess.
You think?
Think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you would rather travel, right? If given the option, even though you're a higher seed, I think LSU would love to get out of a SEC regional and go to Virginia, is where they were mocked. God, it feels like a decade ago, but whenever they were actually mocked to be in the tournament, it was going to Virginia's regional.
Right now, even after the series lost last weekend, Baseball America has LSU as still one of the first 4 out. That goes to show you what they think about them. Obviously, the resume outside of their conference record puts them in the tournament usually. Like I said,
where's Florida at?
Florida's what?
I think Florida's out as of now.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Just wondering.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll check.
No. I mean, like, first 4 out, I was wondering if Florida was like right in that spot.
Ole Miss is the next 4 out too. So LSU's first 4, Ole Miss next 4. Obviously, both are on the Super Bowl.
They're basically telling us right here.
This is the weekend.
Right, you need to go on a string of. You need to go win. Like, let's just say if you got 6 games, right? And the reason why I'm saying 6 is because you got 3 this weekend. So say you go, I don't know, you can't go 2-1 and then be out. But let's just say you 6 games, 7 games, and you find a way to go 4-3, or if you do something like that, I think you're in, right?
Yeah.
You win a series here, you go win 2 games maybe in the tournament. I think you're in. I think where you become and you stay out is if you win a series here and you go get put out in that first game. I think you're out. There's probably a good chance you might be out right there. Like, they're gonna have to go and find a 5-6 game where they put up a good number of wins. Right?
Well, and I'm glad you said the 5-6 games, right? So this weekend's super important. Obviously, we've already talked about that. But when you get to the tournament, LSU, like, making a run for the SEC tournament, like doing what you need to do to win that tournament, right? not only is that going to boost your resume and get you probably into the postseason, but LSU hasn't gone through a stretch yet this year where they have won game after game after game after game since the SEC has started. You know, and so doing that, when we saw it Ole Miss, that jump-started them a couple years ago, and they went into this super run, right? LSU hasn't had that since the SEC conference play has started. So, like, if they can somehow figure out how to be able to do that and say, okay, we won the series or we swept or whatever we did, then we went to the SEC tournament and we made a run and we ended up winning this thing and made it all the way to like, okay, now we've played 7-8 straight days of really good high-level baseball right before the right before the NCAA tournament, and that puts them in a really good spot, right? We have yet to see that since the SEC started, and I would love to see them get hot and be able to feel like they have that confidence because they have been battling for a really long time right now, and it's like at some point all of that hard work and all of that progression you feel like is going to take that next level and jump up, and we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're talking about. Like that second half of the season, they played good baseball. They have, but we haven't seen hot baseball yet.
Right. Not
from this team. And it's like, okay, if they can kind of start going and get into the tournament, because that's really what you have to be to win the tournament. You got to be a hot team. Like you're only going to win, you're only going to lose one game probably. Like you have to be a hot team. So can this series against Ole Miss spring them into the tournament, which then springs them into playing hot baseball, and then how far does that go? Yeah. How long is that leash? And that's what we're trying to see if they have that bullet still left in the chamber.
They obviously play tomorrow night. They play Gage Jumps on the bump. You know, basically I don't want to give predictions on what the game's going to be because I'm going to say they need to win. That's the only thing that matters. If Gage Jump pitches like he has been pitching the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Boy, can y'all hear that right now?
What's happening?
Not really. The dogs and the cats, they're coming down right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's raining over there.
I wonder if y'all's power will go out at the big studio.
Well, he's at the hotel.
I know, but when he gets to
the
big show.
I would imagine the big show's got a few generators.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I imagine they're okay.
Yeah, they might have a couple.
Yeah. The ones they got a handful, the diesel generators. I'm sure that's exactly what they use.
Go.
Yeah. But if Gage Jump pitches like he has the last few weeks, I think they're going to put themselves in a real position. I would love to see him get off to a really hot start on the mound and the offense jump out early and just kind of end this thing early, right? Hey, get out to a large lead. Gage Jump continues to dominate, and then they just continue to put pressure on inning after inning after inning throughout the game. And I think that would do a lot for them moving forward.
Here's another thing, too. I'll just be honest with you. I guess we kind of see it different here, but here's another reason why I don't really want to see them get out to a 6-run lead through 3 or 4 or whatever. And, I want to see Gage throw really well, but I also want to see them get that confidence and that feeling and that mojo of having those beyond, post-5th, post-6th inning at-bats that matter, where you're getting clutch big hits in those situations, because I think those are what grows a team and makes a team feel good about themselves more than it does, hey, we got out to a 5-run lead and then we just coasted the rest of the game. We got out 7-2 and we just coasted the rest of the game. Hey, go 3-0, go 3-1, and Gage is still throwing, and then you finally get 2 on in the 6th, and you hit the big home or you hit the big double, and that energizes the team. And I think you can carry that kind of energy into the next game more than you carry we didn't get a hit after the 5th, but at least we still won by 4. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. No doubt. It's going to be interesting to see what you look like you're pondering something.
Yeah, I'm about to say something, but I got to remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
Oh, considering what happened last week against, obviously, whenever you went with Christian Little, then you go Griffin Herring, kind of, aren't we, put him in finally. If LSU gets out to a lead like that and goes, do you think that is scrapped where it goes straight to Griffin Herring?
No
matter, really?
I don't want to say no matter.
Because 6 runs is a lot.
I wouldn't say no matter, but
or 4 runs.
Yeah, it's 4 runs. I think that if they get to that situation again and they throw Christian Little or whoever else and they had the inning they had before and they end up able to get out of it with no runs given up, I think you see him go to Griffin. I think if he throws him and it's a clean inning and he looks good, they're going to keep that guy out there and keep Griffin on in the bullpen.
I think he still does the same thing, but here's where I think it differs at is you got to remember, it was a 4-run lead, and all of a sudden it was one pitch, and now it's a 2-run lead. So maybe now when we get to that, say the 7th inning happens and we bring Christian back out for the 8th, like if it just happened the same way it happened last time, maybe you're getting Griffin hot as soon as the inning starts. That way if one runner gets on, now he's in, instead of us getting a chance to get the next runner up, and then now that one swing is where we didn't want to be. Right? Like we'll be fine if it's a solo homer betting that, oh, you're not going to hit 2 in a row. I would take that bet. So maybe that's what they changed, but I still think you have to hold out using that guy in the sense of, especially what he's given you on the year and how he's been paramount on the year. And it's not like we have an absolutely just solidified pitching staff to where you have this many guys that can go this multiple times. You have this many guys that start that's going to give you 5+. I'm not saying it's been bad, but it's like the second half of the year is if I can find a spot where I can get Griffin in the game for 3+ innings, man, I don't want to blow him when I need 5 outs.
Right.
Especially if I got a 4-run lead. So
right.
Maybe I think nothing changes. I just think maybe once one runner gets on at that point, that's when you get him hot, as opposed to waiting until the homer's already hit, and now you're like, oh, I didn't want that. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
I'm sorry. Not once one runner gets on. Once the inning starts. That way if one runner gets on, now he's hot and ready to go.
Right. It's gonna be interesting to see. Well, Lloyd, you had something else?
Well, and I also thought Jay said something interesting when he came on, was the fact that there's a world where you could platoon both of them and use Christian Little and Griffin Herring and then have them ready for, use them twice, because you saw Christian Little come in and pitch well whenever he came back in on the Sunday game. Also, where do you find Gavin Guidry in this mix? Because he seemed to have pitched himself back into the bullpen.
I think that he's an one-inning guy. And, I think he can go extended, but I think they're going to use him like they used him last weekend. Hey, we need you. We trust you in these big situations, but go get this one inning or these 1 or 2 guys out, whatever it is. Go out and do what you need to do. I think that's where you see his role.
Yeah, I think he's back to finding his mojo a little bit and getting comfortable and feeling good about himself again. I think he's definitely somebody they're going to call upon this weekend. He's going to have to pitch, and he's going to have to get some big outs. How long? I don't know. But I think he's definitely part of that number, if you will. He's a part of that grouping of guys that they need. Yeah.
Who is that group? If you had to, seeing everything that you've seen this year,
at the pen,
Little, Herron, Little, Guidry, Dutton, probably now since he's got his velo back, Iowa. Yep. That's probably the group, right? I feel like I'm missing one. That's definitely the group. Right
Ackenhausen
gives you the Ackenhausen. There you go.
Yeah, 6. Those are 6 guys.
And then obviously Cade, but we know Cade's probably going to be the guy that throws on Tuesday, so I can't really use that.
Listen, if he doesn't throw on Tuesday, I don't know what else to do. I don't know.
I'm throwing my hands up. I'm done with trying to figure out.
I can't figure it out.
Anymore. I'm over it.
Can't figure it out, huh?
Coleman Tuesday.
You think?
Yeah.
Javen hadn't thrown in a long time.
Yeah.
That'd be a bold move to throw him on Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. We'll be here tomorrow to talk about. to be here on Friday to talk about the game that happened on Thursday, and to talk about the game on Friday.
If they drop game 1, we're still in it, right?
Yep.
Still in the fight.
Let's not drop game 1. Let's not even talk about it.
This won't be a post-mortem yet.
Nope. Let's not talk about it. We're not dropping game 1 because they're in the SC tournament. More than likely, 98%.
Who's Mizzou got?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they got.
If LSU were to get swept, the chances that Mizzou goes and sweeps as well it's so small. So it's just pretty much in.
It's in. So and don't worry about it. Just win the game. In different sports news, Lloyd, this is for you. LSU golf hosting the regional at University Club.
Cool.
Top 5 advance. They made it. They had to par the last hole. They ended up the 15. They had moved on.
Do you see Auburn's scorecard?
Yeah, they are good.
holy shit!
They're
I
like
had
what,
no-
minus 16?
Yeah, everybody else can barely break
I think
par.
no. There's like 2 other teams. I think that were under par.
One other team was 3 under. They're
And
16
there's even,
under.
and then 16 under.
It was what is it, a practice round? Like Jesus Christ! I didn't know Auburn was swinging it like that.
Oh yeah, they're good.
I know that they got the. They do have one recruit coming in, that 15-year-old that won Augusta, the
Who was
women's Augusta, like 3
Who was
years
the
ago.
guy on the team? I mean, he was in this regional for LSU that qualified or had the low am. He was the low amateur this year for, was it Augusta? I forget his name.
Neil Shipley.
Yep, him. Is he at Auburn?
Yep, that's the one.
That's him. Yep,
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Cool guy. Got to hang out with Tiger a little bit. Then he got called out for maybe getting a note from Tiger. He's like,
Yeah.
no, Tiger.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're on different sides of the fence.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I saw him.
But congratulations to the boys. They're moving on. Let's go ahead and get to our seggies.
Hold on, I do have my segment, but I have to find it. I had it on my phone. But hold on, get to it because, and
There you
here's
go.
an easy curtain call real quick. It just came through the wire. Tommy White,
Hey.
named to 2024 SEC Community Service Team.
Oh, there you
Junior
go.
from St. Pete, Florida, donates a significant portion of his NIL earnings to Empower 225, an organization in Baton Rouge aimed to empower youth to escape the cycle of violence and poverty by providing them with resources such as educational support, life skills training, career preparedness, housing, and mentorship. It sound like Dan Bournet a little bit?
Nope.
That's what I was going for.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Shout out. That's nice easy curtain call. Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place. I'm putting Lloyd on the spot as he's searching for
I'm searching for a
his
mistake of the day.
his mistake of the day. Do you have one? Are you still looking for one, or did you just looking for the one that you had that you lost?
Oh, mistake of the day.
Look at that. See,
Very-
sometimes you gotta put the pressure on. Him. He figures it
Exactly. I don't know if you saw Aaron Rodgers is back in the news again.
out. Oh, nice.
And he did a 2-hour sit down with Tucker Carlson where they covered a myriad of topics, one being his internet habits, and he claims he has not looked at pornography in 6 years, which I thought was a weird thing to throw out there, but I guess good for him. I guess if you want to be totally focused on
Yeah.
football and what's important, and ayahuasca, maybe it just turns you off a little bit. Because I
Good for
know
him.
he dated Olivia Munn. Olivia Munn's out there. So maybe he was getting it all he needed at home.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't need it. Maybe he had the real thing.
But I'm sure that there was sometimes you need a little inspo to keep up.
Good for him, though.
Yeah.
Look, good for him.
Not a Jesus guy, so he doesn't have any of that Catholic guilt.
He doesn't like Jesus.
No.
He's atheist.
Yeah.
Is he?
He's a grounded guy. Believes in the power of the
Okay.
earth,
Okay.
not so much the God.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a mistake, but it's interesting for
Yeah,
sure. I don't know.
interesting.
I guess if you talk for 2 hours live,
Something's
something's going to come up
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, okay, sure, I'll answer it.
Okay.
Not a porn guy.
Okay. Good enough.
And then you had KFC from Barstool going up there and defending him, saying, I'd much rather a quarterback that looks at porn than one that doesn't, which is a good take, I guess.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
There's probably more that do that don't,
You would think.
you would think.
All right. Curtain call is brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
Yeah.
Me? What we got today, boys? Assured Partners been cooking, boys. The last couple of days, we've been cooking over there in the office, doing some things. You got a curtain call? Let me get.
I'm gonna start with something easy, man. Something simple. That I feel like this show and the people running this show and the people with it keep continuing to find ways to level up. And this is the first of its kind of. So who knows where this goes in the podcast game? But I'm gonna give some love to Brian Clark and the Pivot for leveling up and doing a deal with Fanatics. And now, like I said, this is kind of the first of its kind in this space. And who knows where this grows into, not only for them, but obviously for the entire space of podcasts as well. So that's our LSU brethren showing some love, and they keep leveling up, which opens the door for who knows who else.
No doubt.
Well, Ed, we saw all the money that the founder of Fanatics has, and they still can't. If he's got $11 billion, Michael Rubin, it seems like they could have gotten the pants right. Like it's not a cost decision. So for all of the things that Fanatics has done, I guess, to make money, it feels like they really dropped the ball in the uniforms.
Yeah, not great. You got one?
Yes, my
Okay.
curtain call is to Alistair Doherty, a Korn Ferry golfer who was who wasn't as focused on golf as he should be. He was trying to make it in the professional ranks, obviously. He was trying to he was on the Korn Ferry Tour, but obviously playing to be able to be on the big tour, PGA Tour. It got to the point where a lot of these people are called backers that will back somebody that is looking for a chance to play on the PGA Tour. Basically. Right, so you pay for like airfare, travel, hotel rooms, so they don't have to worry about any of that. Barstool Golf Foreplay floated Alistair $50,000. He's like, I'm tired of you worried around like hustling, trying to find, money so you can play these tournaments. Like, here's $50,000. Don't worry about it. Go play golf. Last week, Alistair comes in second at Myrtle Beach, gets an exemption into another PGA Tour event, and now has full-time status on the Korn Ferry.
Wow.
So that $356,000 paycheck he just got comes to fruition.
That's awesome.
So that is you take a little bit of worry out this man's life and see what can happen.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Good for foreplay. Good for them. Good. That's a good one. That's probably one of your better ones, Lloyd.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Okay. See you, Lloyd.
Yeah.
My curtain call, like I said, I already gave it to the men's golf team a little bit. We talked about that. But staying in the golf with the theme of golf, Netflix has officially announced they have greenlit the Happy Gilmore 2 project.
We talked about. I thought you were kidding when you brought this up, and we were like, "Don't touch the classics." But the more we thought about it,
I like it.
I like it too.
Yep. I think there's enough storylines in there, and there's enough time that's passed that they can make it its own thing to where it's like, oh, it's not gonna be the same, but similar. I like it.
And unfortunate,
or maybe identical.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for Chubbs, but the timeline plays out perfectly. They've already killed them off the show, so you could come back for Happy Gilmore 2, and you don't even have to worry about writing the character in because he's already dead.
Right.
And
well, that's a little morbid.
Right, but it lines up even more to make Happy Gilmore 2. The real question mark is Shooter.
But you're dark.
I'm telling you,
you got to find the positives and the negatives.
I don't know what their plan is or what their script would be, but Shooter taking over as the commissioner of the tour seems like is the easy fit. But he's also got to have somebody to compete against. You know what I mean? Like
he'll play in the tournament. Gilmore comes back from a hockey career, and he's like, I'm going to run maybe a senior tour.
Maybe senior tour.
And then you get Shooter to come back like, oh, I'll play one more time. Or maybe it's like a Chubbs Classic, the fifth major.
No, they're not going to do that.
I think there's going to be quite the shout-out for him.
Okay. It's going to be interesting. That's
I don't
my
know
current
what
call.
Christopher McDonald looks like right now.
I think Claude Ray from Life is going to come into this.
Hey, Claude Ray. Ray's Boom Boom Room. All right, that's all we got for you today. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the LSU game tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday to recap the Thursday night win. Huh?
Stay dry. Oh, wait.
Stay dry. That's all you. That's just you because you Mr. Worldwide over there.
Wait.
We'll be
that's
back
the weather
live.
From Monday. You just catch it on Wednesday.
That's it. We'll be live on Friday, recapping the Thursday night win, previewing hopefully the Friday night win, and we love you. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like to watch us, we know where to get your pods. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you on Friday. Peace.
Try to stay undefeated with the boys. See something, say something.
And you know what?
And you know what?
Fucking